Welcome. Take It Up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Vince Jeffs, who is the Senior Director of Product Strategy at Pegasystems. Hi, Vince. How are you?
Great, Jessica. Happy to be here.
You are in charge of the strategy for this one particular product line called the Decision Hub. And it's really using AI to monitor data and then make recommendations for a lot of the retailers or banking or healthcare providers. And I wanted to invite you on to share some of the stories. How is the AI technology in this brain helping your clients, and what are some of the innovation that you're seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way. And it's a crazy time that we're living in. Everybody is trying to adjust to some new ways of doing business and living. And I think that what they're finding is that the clients that are using our Decision Hub technology are able to actually fairly quickly load in a whole new set of what we call next best actions that are relevant for their clients at this point in time. So, kind of what you might expect as a consumer, the worst thing that you would be getting from a brand in terms of experience right now would be them trying to sell you something or market something to you when maybe you've just lost your job or your partner has just lost his or her job, and or you're struggling with what to get to eat in the next week or something, so, or how to pay your bills, right? And so that's the beauty of this decisioning and Decision Hub capability, is that these clients can immediately load in these new next best action messages, and they will take precedence for some period of time because they are the most relevant things to be talking with those consumers about. They're the problems that they're having. They're the conversations that they want to be having with these brands. They're the reason why they might reach out to these brands. And so, there's not as many agents that are available. As you hear these stories, right, about people trying to call into call centers and they can't get people. So if, then they can go to the website or they can use a mobile device and they can get their answers, and they're relevant to what their problems are. That's going to be a much more effective experience for those consumers, and these brands are going to do better.
Yeah, I like how your technology is pulling data from a variety of sources, not just like from the web behavior, but from the mobile, from maybe call centers, and then you're able to then get a more complete picture to then make personalized recommendation. And I think of healthcare providers right now as an example of how a lot of people are probably wondering what's these answers to the crisis, and they may be searching for healthcare solutions. And these personalized messages would be really important in making sure that it's not just a one message fits all, but a personalized message to that patient who's looking for answers, especially when the call centers are not able to staff fully, right? Having an AI engine to step in seems like a perfect time to really crank up that usage.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of it is that these these types of these conversations, these communications that these healthcare companies are needing to have with their members, they're really important, right? Because these are real issues that people need answers to, and if they can't easily get with the people that they normally would talk with, like their healthcare provider, which, by the way, has happened to me, right? I mean, I've got a primary care physician, and early in the crisis, I've tried to contact them, and it's been very difficult. And it wasn't that important. I could back off because I knew that they were probably busier with other things, but I still wanted answers to my questions. So, what did I do? Of course, I went online and or I tried to, chat, or I tried to, send an email. And so being able to respond to those things with, again, good answers in timely fashion is exactly what this decisioning technology helps brands do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I experienced the same thing when it was just a routine checkup. All those appointments have been pushed out because the primary care physician has been pulled into the pulmonary department now to help with the more urgent issues. And so, yeah, those are opportunities for the provider to provide those customized messages to explain this current situation and make recommendations of what to do as a next step for the patients.
Yeah, and I'll just add one other quick story. We do a lot of business with telecommunication companies and internet service provider. So think of the amount of demand. Actually, their business has skyrocketed because all these people now, of course, are working from home. They're realizing that maybe their internet connection wasn't that great. They want to upgrade it, and so suddenly they've got to be able to answer the demand again for changes that have happened in the way their services are used, and they need to be again timely and personal with those kinds of conversations that they're having. So I think there's good happening, and there's also unfortunate stuff that's happening, and there will be a continuation of that, I think, as we all know, for some time. But the ability to be agile and to respond very quickly with the right kinds of recommendations is a pretty powerful capability.
And it would reduce the support calls too, right? When people are looking for answers, and if you're able to provide that answer to satisfy their concern, then they won't be calling or emailing. So with AI, I think that it should help to reduce the support inquiries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about, if you get this right and you use technology in a responsible and an efficient way, it's actually a win-win. The consumer gets better service because, hey, I don't really want to talk with and spend time on hold. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, I like talking with people like you, but at the same time, if I can get my answer at 2 in the morning, because I'm up, and I can go on the website and get an answer, or I can chat and get an answer, and I can get it quickly, I'm happy as a consumer. And of course the brand's happy too, because it is, like you said, a lower cost to serve through some of these other digital channels.
Okay, Vince, so I think that having the technology is just one piece of the puzzle. Often it's the behavior of the organization, the people having to actually adopt that, use it, and really embrace it. So I think about change management as a challenge. Do you have any case studies where they've done a great job that you can share tips or best practices around making sure that the whole project is successful?
Yeah, great point. And you touched a little bit on the whole issue of data and how you align your data and how you organize your data, and that's very important. But the people is no different, right? You've got to have people and their roles well aligned to what the technology solution is enabling. And so, like, a tip that we have is we really like to see you, first of all, just like you would organize in agile teams for development. If you're developing your product or your software company, everybody knows about agile and the advantages of that. Well, we recommend that customers use the same approach when they're doing what we call business as usual, and they're actually making adjustments to this next best action engine every day. So this thing we talked about with some of these brands loading in their COVID messaging into the system. Well, they had to do that. They had to get approvals for what that messaging would be, who it would be targeted at, who would be eligible for it, who wouldn't, all these kinds of things that you have to have really an agile team that is ready to, create that, to approve it, to load it into the production system. And so we really organize, we encourage people to organize agile teams, and we call it a revision management process, where they can quickly, literally in days, if not hours, load things, get approval, and get them into production. So that's a very, very powerful way of making changes in your production system and not having for it to take weeks. And you have to have people, the roles that are aligned around that structure. Otherwise, it'll just work the same sort of sequential way, right?
So in your business, making sure that customers are successful, you offer not only the technology, but the consultancy to implementing and making sure it's adopted.
Yes, absolutely. We call it business excellence services. And so we think of that around the idea of having excellence for the best practices that you're going to leverage, and we help with that. So we bring some of those best practices into every implementation we do, and we learn from every implementation. And then of course we sort of update if we learn new things. And then that becomes also some of the things that we would build into the product. So we might, build different revisions of a data model or templates that are used that again would speed up the next implementation for the next client, because they're learning from others, really.
What is the roadmap looking like for innovating and pushing the boundaries on AI? I mean, I know there's always a push to make it more accurate. You know, we want to reach
Mm,
100% accuracy.
right.
But beyond that, what else are you working on?
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about that first, because I agree that's like really important. And what we're doing is we're working with our major partners like Amazon. And you may know, or some people may know, that Amazon's got a whole layer of AI services they call SageMaker. And so we've recently integrated with SageMaker, so clients that are using Amazon can leverage the AI as a service, if you will, or the machine learning services that they have. We've also built a connector into Google machine learning. And another company that's up and coming, some people may not have heard of, but they've got really fantastic technology called H2O AI. Um, so that's one of the things we're doing on the AI front to sort of make AI, we call it kind of like model ops, the ability to streamline the model building and the model deployment, and what we call operationalizing AI. But beyond that, we're also looking at the user experience very much, and this whole idea of democratization and moving more of the configuration of this to the business. We don't want it to be just IT people that are and lots of sort of really um, well, let's say expensive consultants that have to be used. Clients, we want to give clients the best bang for their buck. So ultimately, if the software supports a model where business users can do more, I think that helps everybody.
Yes, you would get a wider audience using it, the non-technical folks like myself, who would love to use AI but not really know how to code it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Vince, all this technology and best practices are great. I'm curious, what kind of results are you seeing with your customers deploying your technology?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because that's actually where we start the conversations with our customers and the people that are interested in what we're doing. We are seeing we have case studies of clients that are getting between 4x and 12x lift over the
Mm.
baseline of the recommendations that they were making in the past. So that's very exciting. I mean, people get really excited about being able to sell things more effectively and sell the right things to customers, and selling the right things and doing the right things for customers. I think that's what we're seeing in this COVID era, right? Is that the brands that are empathetic, the brands that are really sensitive to what customers need, will build that loyalty. And we're seeing outcomes where customers are building this long-term loyalty, and that pays off. That pays off in what's called customer lifetime value. And they literally can measure that. So they measure that over the course of months, not days or weeks. And it's very effective, and they can retain customers for longer. And there's an old saying that it costs a lot less to keep an existing customer than it does to acquire new ones. And I think that this kind of technology proves that out, your ability to really add value to the customer's life through these relevant recommendations, and win them for long periods of time, and make them also like advocates of what you're doing. So that's really effective.
Great. Well, I'm sure that lots of companies out there can benefit from giving your technology a shot here. It sounds like it's automating is something that a lot of companies are looking to do and transforming. And given that we are now sheltering in place, that whole digital transformation is even more important.
Yep.
Thank you for being on the show, Vince. There you have it. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Vince Jeff from Pegasystems.